Have you ever judged a book by its cover?
I'm a very shy writer when it comes to writing about sex. I was very, very shy. Now I hit my puberty with romance novels very late in life.
What is a reading coach?
Our brains first evolved about 600 million years ago. But reading and writing are 5,000 to 6,000 years old.
Have you made lots of money from the book?
I don't know.
You don't know how much money you've made from the
I
book?
have not checked. It is by far the most challenging thing I have done. Very motivating, but also very, very scary. Never thought that I would have what it takes to actually sit down and put pen to paper.
There's this book called The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins,
Yes,
which is the origin of the word meme.
I'll tell you what, even Tinkle made a huge difference in my life.
But is there an advantage to reading in the most traditional form?
It's better than not reading.
Is there a specific reason that you wanted to write a romantic novel?
I miss romance.
You just got married.
No, like in content. I'm a hopeless romantic when it comes to consumption of content. I want to write romance and I want to tell romance and I want to film romance and I want to release romance. That's how it started. So a little obsessive.
When the non-reader picks up a book, does it become a bestseller? So every time a woman attempts to be an artist, she needs to know that she's speaking for every woman that's coming after her.
I want ChatGPT to do my dishes and laundry so I can make art.
I remember when I sat down to write my book, The Perils of Being Moderately Famous, there was this moment when it struck me that as a woman today, I have the privilege of telling my story and of being published by a major publishing house. I, of course, recognize that I'm a public figure and my journey would have been easier than other people's, but I'm also very aware that this hasn't always been the case, especially for women. Historically, women have had to fight to be taken seriously as writers. And in the West, we've had authors like George Eliot, who was actually a woman, Mary Ann Evans, the author of Middlemarch, and the Bronte sisters, Charlotte, Emily, Anne, who originally published their works under male pseudonyms because they feared their writing wouldn't be respected if it was known that they were women. In India, of course, we've had incredibly powerful voices like Ismat Chugtai, who never hid her identity. She wrote about very progressive issues with remarkable boldness and even had to face backlash, go to court, face legal troubles for that. But I still feel that she was an exception. There are countless women who either didn't write at all or who chose to publish under initials or ambiguous names. And today, I think I can say that we've made progress. But have we truly come a long way? What has changed and where do women writers in India really stand? Hello and welcome to All About Her, a space where we have honest and meaningful conversations about women's health, their wellness, their happiness and self-care. And today we explore why women's stories matter, how they're shaping culture, and why the act of writing remains an act of courage, connection and change. And to delve into today's conversation, I'm thrilled to be joined by two incredible guests. So first up, we have someone who truly needs no introduction, and yet I'm going to introduce you.
Do it.
Okay, so Prajakta is one of India's most loved digital creators, an actress, and now a published author. Her debut novel, Too Good to Be True, captures the heart and complexities of young adulthood with her signature honesty and humor. From making us laugh on YouTube to touching hearts through storytelling, Prajakta has shown us how powerful vulnerability and authenticity really can be. Joining her today is Reeta Gupta, an acclaimed author, a speaker, and a reading coach who has spent years helping young writers find their voice and guiding readers to fall in love with books all over again. She really believes in the power of reading, not just as a habit, but as a transformative tool, especially for women who are, I think, finding their footing in the world.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you both for being here with me today.
No, we're so excited.
I'm very excited. Thank you. I know you've done this many times, Prajakta. I know you've been on both ends of podcasts. You've been a content creator. But are you really kicked to be introduced as an author?
Very. I mean, honestly, sometimes I have trouble believing it because as much as I grew up loving books, I never thought I would have the guts to write one. It is by far the most challenging thing I have done. Very self-validating, very motivating, but also very, very scary. So for me, I never thought, at least not right now. Like I thought it's one of those things that will happen when I'm like 80 years old, when I'm like, mujhe likhna tha, ab likh diya maine finally. I never thought that I would have what it takes to actually sit down and put pen to paper. So it's very, very exciting every time someone introduces me like that. So thank you.
And now when people introduce you as an author, when people just experience you, do you think people are looking at you with taking you more seriously? or giving you more respect.
I mean, if you read my book, you'll take me even less seriously after.
No, I've read. And
did?
yeah, I've not read cover to cover.
Yeah.
Of course I've started, and I love reading as well. As you know,
Okay.
all of us here are joined by that communal bond.
Yeah.
But I just feel like now when your name is up there as a published author,
Yeah.
it adds a certain amount of like I always insist when I'm being introduced, must add the author part.
Author part. Yeah. I feel like I haven't wrapped my mind around it completely yet.
Yeah. And because it's just a natural, because you said that you didn't think you would write a book, then what happened to actually make you write it?
I've always loved writing. Now, I started on very early in life journaling, and that was my only way of expressing anytime it came down to writing. Ki, chalo, that was my all the formal training I had is that I have filled journals and journals and journals just writing things. And now when I read those journals when I was 15 or 16, they look and sound so much like I'm telling it to somebody.
Yes.
So I knew that I always enjoyed doing it. When I started making YouTube content also, one of my favorite things was making characters, developing them, writing backstories, writing stories. The dialogue bit of it kind of I learned as I kept making sketches, but I always loved writing it down. Like I always loved making a synopsis. I loved seeing how the video was going to start, how it's going to end. So during the lockdown, we all had a lot of time. So I realized that I didn't know what my natural progression as a creator could be.
Yeah.
So I decided that maybe I go, and everyone was doing short form content at that time. We had gone from doing 8-minute videos to 15-second like TikToks and then reels and shorts eventually. I, however, am a fan of long form. So I was like, okay, what do I do now? So the only way that I could kind of continue writing what I was writing is, chalo, I'll start writing shows. And maybe a nice progression would be like, in the past few years, I've met some people that I look up to, and let me see if I can just send them my content and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Do you want to make this? Send it to OTT platforms, send it to directors, production houses. So I just started developing 3 ideas that I had.
Yeah. To do that, to have the foresight to do that. Like
I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So
lots of people were managing successfully to do nothing through the lockdown. Didn't learn any skills. I did not make one thing.
You didn't make anything?
Yeah, I've not.
You didn't make banana bread?
I did not even make banana bread, guys.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Soha.
Yeah, wasted
Wrote
the
a
lockdown.
book, but didn't you?
Yeah, but that was when I was pregnant, which was another kind of lockdown.
So when I started writing on them, so I put a writer's room for 2 of those concepts. And the third one, which became the book eventually, I found was so simple, but at the same time was so beautiful to me. Yeah. But I didn't know how to express it to a writer's room. But I was like, at that point, मुझे ऐसा लगा कि उनको ऐसा लगा कि मैं time waste कर रही हूँ, कि ये क्या है, इसमें तो कुछ है ही नहीं. So I was like, let me see if I can work on this right now before we get more people involved. Having said that, never written a screenplay, never made a pitch deck, never made a Bible. I don't know any of this. So I started writing the only way that I knew how to write is as journal entries that the characters would make. Now, I hit my puberty with romance novels very late in life. Like I was 27, 28 when I picked up. Yeah. Never went down the whole Mills and Boons.
Really?
Never. I'm very surprised.
Are Mills and Boons dated? Like nobody reads them anymore, Reeta?
No, I'm sure people read them.
I grew up reading them.
I didn't at all.
Is there an equivalent of Mills and Boons?
Oh, lots.
For your generation?
I'm down that rabbit hole right now. As we speak right now, there's a very Mills and Boonsy book.
What are you reading?
I'm reading King of Envy by Anna Huang. I started writing it as dual POVs because I'd read a lot of books in those from 28 to 30 wala time pe. So that's how it started, and started writing it down as excerpts.
Yeah.
And then a few excerpts in, the team was like, Prajakta, this looks like chapters. And I was like, does it? So they're like, do you want to just continue and see where this goes? So I started writing it as a way of eventually giving this booklet to someone to say, kiska screenplay bana do.
Which can still
happen. So that's how it started.
Nice. I want to come to you, Reeta, now, because I know that you review many books, and you must be getting a lot of books on your desk every day. I know, after I became an author, books were sent to me to review, and I was like, I don't know if I'm capable of doing this, writing blurbs. I'll come to that later, but how do you firstly decide which books to take on, which books to give a skip to?
Right. So I have this weekly column on Saturdays, which is called Bookstrapping. So yes, we are looking for one original idea. So it's not that every book will have an earth-shattering idea of kinds.
Right.
So for example, I still remember, and you will enjoy this in particular, Prajakta, there's this book called The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins, which is the origin of the word meme. Right? So meme as short for phoneme. right? Which is something that's inherently replicable, which multiplies on its own because it has the power to multiply. So memes are popular, so they multiply. Phonemes are used very often in sentences, so they multiply. So not every book is going to have a cross-generational idea that sustains, but at least you're looking for something that you can talk to one generation.
Yes.
So one is the idea itself. The other is originality in presentation. So the more original the story, as yours is, as hers is, because it's just purely you.
Yes.
That's very, very important.
I don't know, I mean, if yours is purely you, I'll come to your book and how much of it is you later.
Yes. So just originally put together, fearlessly put together, bravely put together. So that's the other thing we're looking for. And yes, during my sessions as the reading coach, I'm constantly asked, are you looking for well-written books or well-marketed books? So I'm saying that I'm looking for a mix where they intersect, because unless you're going to reach your audiences, what are you writing for?
Right.
So it is your duty as an author to not just write a book really well to the best of your ability, but also put together a team that can take it to the readers. Because only when the non-reader picks up a book does it become a bestseller. So we are constantly looking for genre-breaking, original content and original ideas. So that's what we're looking for. And of course, it's Network 18. So there has to be a business bent to it.
Yes.
So that's what we're looking for.
And have you ever judged a book by its cover? And then mistakenly, if you actually become a bestseller if a non-reader picks up a book and reads it.
Yes.
Are we a country of readers?
I would say that time and again, popular authors have made all the difference. So J.K. Rowling, for example, she made an entire generation read that wasn't reading. So time and again, we find that authors come in. Prajakta was sharing with me her experience that youngsters came up to her and said that this is the first time I'm entering a bookstore. And I'm sure that you did that too with Perils of Being Moderately Famous. So time and again, we find that authors are inspiring readers to pick up books. And I think that if authors take it upon themselves to be masterful storytellers, because storytelling is an art, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be masterful storytellers, to be masterful marketers, to master the entire package, I find that we will have a generation that will reconnect to reading in a very meaningful way.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, because have you always, I know you are an avid reader now. Were you always an avid reader? Were you encouraged by your family to read? Was this something that came from within?
100%. I've always enjoyed reading, and I think I have to give a lot of credit to my best friend Nishant, because he was obsessed with reading when we were very, very young. School mein jab the. So like he would have the minute any set of an Enlightenment has come out, all the Secret Sevens, all the Famous Fives, all the Nancy Drews, all the
But this is when you're how old? What age?
8?
8. So that's my daughter next year.
5th, 6th standard, yeah. No, 5th, 6th is 10, 11. 2nd, 3rd standard.
So I need to find a Nishant equivalent for an eye.
Oh, yeah. Or just an enlightened.
Yeah, no, enlightened we've tried.
I'll tell you what, even Tinkle made a huge difference in my life. Growing up, I remember we used to take the train. हम राजधानी एक्सप्रेस लेके जाते थे मुंबई से दिल्ली, because Mama is from Delhi. तो हम नाना जी के घर जाते थे जितनी बारी. So my favorite part about that journey was that when we reached the station, Baba's going to buy me Tinkle. Kindle से. I was later. The guy would buy me Tinkle, and then I would have 2 comics that I would finish on that journey.
Wow.
So that is how I got obsessed with it. Then I had a huge Murakami phase that I went. Maybe that is why I didn't pick up Mills and Boons. When I was 20, I was reading Murakami, dude. So I've always been, but the whole romance genre opened up for me quite late, and I've never polished off books and moved on to the next ones faster than in the past 4 years.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm obsessed.
But that's great. I feel like people who read are just better people. I may be wrong, and you would know this. Firstly, you're a reading coach. What is a reading coach?
So a reading coach basically talks about loss of skills due to lack of reading. So we go to large groups of people and we tell them that, hey, it's your choice to not read, but this is what you lose out on. And so would you like to not lose out on those skills? So just to set the context, our brains first evolved about 600 million years ago. We've had brains.
Some of us.
Some form of brain. It's called the nerve net. Some form of it. Yeah. It's called the nerve net. Came about 600 million years ago. And that's really long to even imagine or comprehend. What is 600 million years? But reading and writing are 5 to 6,000 years old.
Right.
So it's literally the last iteration of the brain. So, when you typically an AI engineer looks to create a brain, the reason he or she cannot do it is because there's no blueprint that the brain was built on. The brain just evolved in 5 iterations. And the pinnacle iteration was reading and writing, which came about 5 to 6,000 years ago. Now you see all the scientific progress, all the social progress, all the political progress that the world has had has been after we achieved the skill to read and write.
Right.
We shared information with each other. We were able to communicate with each other. We were able to form groups. We were able to act in cohesion. We were able to tell people in remote corners of the world how to handle COVID, for instance, as recently as, last year. So reading and writing have completely transformed the human experience. And it has also transformed the brain. So if you look at the brain as this plastic structure, it shifted and it transformed itself as we learn to read and write. Now, when we stop, it transforms itself again. Now, where is that going? Neuroscientists are studying it as we speak, but it doesn't look very good.
So what are the things we're losing by not reading?
So we call this the decagonal skills of reading. So just a couple of examples. One is empathy, right? So when you read fiction, so a lot of people say, why are you reading this story? Why are you reading someone else's story? Why are you reading fiction? So fiction, 10 good books of fiction have more emotional range than your entire life. Right? So when you read fiction, you understand characters. You understand unique situations that, say, a homemaker is put in or a working woman is put in. How do you build empathy for another person? Right. That is something that reading tells you. The other thing which is even more relevant today is something we call cognitive closure. Everyone wants instant answers.
Yes.
Right? So, but when you're reading a book, the answer will come when it comes.
Yeah.
There is no way to read summaries on an OTT platform and know who murdered whom in the end, right? In the last episode. So, so a book unravels as it unravels. So you connect what happened in page 8 with what happened in page 88 with what happened in page 108. So it builds something called a working memory, which is a kind of memory we all need to function. So you retain some information in your head as you move on. So this helps you stay in ambiguity for longer. And this is more important than people realize. There are so many situations. Your boss tells you, I'll give you an answer after 3 months.
Right.
So you have to stay in ambiguity for 3 months. What are you going to tell your boss? So
reading... We need to talk.
So reading trains you to stay in ambiguity and not seek very quick cognitive closure. So there are multiple things. Of course, the issue of identity. Who are you? Readers are those that stand out and answer questions, and they come up with intelligent ways. See, reading is silent speaking. So scientists have attached machines to your throat when you read. So it's literally the motor neurons are the same, except that the sound is below the hearing perception level. So reading is silent speaking. So readers are better speakers. They have the vocabulary, they have the ideas, they have a wider range of ideas because they've invested that time. We say that a person who cannot read and a person who does not read may end up in the same place.
Wow. And what about reading in different forms? I find when I write, when I put pen to paper, I retain that information more than if I just read it off a screen, for example, or if I type it out. It stays, like I used to, whenever I studied for exams, I would make sure I wrote physical notes. Otherwise, I feel like my own brain doesn't process it entirely.
Right.
Is there an advantage to reading on paper as opposed to, for example, on a screen? Of course, people say, oh, I'll watch the movie, and they're consuming. So you can also then learn empathy from watching different kinds of movies and being exposed to different kinds of stories, characters. But is there an advantage to reading in the most traditional form?
So again, see, evolution has many answers, and these are scientific, so we share them in that perspective, right? So we learn to see quite early in this evolutionary journey, right? Our brains see quite early, as soon as the eyes appeared. So 600 million years ago, when we had this rudimentary brain, right? Speaking and listening came together about 1.5 million years ago. Okay. Reading and writing came together 5 to 6,000 years ago. Now again, see the gap. One is the ultimate evolution of what your brain can do.
Right.
So when you speak, okay, and when you listen, your brain does less aerobics than when you read and when you write. When you read specifically, there are 4 unconnected parts of the brain that have to come together to wire and fire to make you read something that simple.
Right.
And reading is so nuanced. If I show you R in 500 different fonts, you're not going to imagine that one of them is S.
Yeah.
Reading is extremely nuanced. If I write in uppercase and lowercase together, you're going to read it effortlessly.
Yeah.
So reading and writing, because they are the last iteration of the brain,
Right.
they are highly nuanced.
Right.
Now, the other thing when it comes to reading physical books and Kindle, if Kindle is what you like, read on Kindle by all means.
Yeah.
It's better than not reading.
Yes.
Okay? But there is an advantage to physical reading in the sense that, may I take your book?
Yes.
Okay. So this is Perils of Being Moderately Famous. And so this
I
is
also
called...
have yours, guys.
Thank
over
you
here.
so much. So this is called spatial navigability. I know how much I have completed and I know how much I have left. And this is communicated to me in a tactile way.
Right.
And tactile is the most intimate sense I know. It's the oldest sense I know.
Right.
So it works to convey better to my brain. So even if I write something down, that's again tactile. So when tactile and reading come together, it's a very powerful emotional signal to the brain. It's the most emotional powerful signal known to man. Right? That is why you touch only those people you're intimate with. Right? So this is touch, spatial navigability. The other thing, safety. I look at this page, functions like calling. Okay? I close this. And I open it again. Functions like calling hasn't gone anywhere. It's anchored to a space on the page. Now on Kindle and on other digital devices, it could go up, it
Yes.
could go down.
Yes.
Right? So that makes me feel unsafe. So I absorb better when I feel safe.
Right.
And that is also connected to my evolution. So these are the reasons why this is superior to any other form. I'll quickly touch on Audible as well.
Sure.
Retention on Audible in various research studies suggest that it's about 28 to 40% lower than reading. So we have conducted experiments where we've gone to colleges, divided children into 2 rooms on no specific iteration whatsoever, random sampling, right? One group gets a reading comprehension exercise, the other gets a listening comprehension exercise. The reading comprehension group invariably scores 40% more. Because it's just the way it is retained.
Right.
So reading is hard till it's easy.
On that note, my book is available on Audible now. You can listen to it.
But it's also
Listen.
on Amazon.
Listen, it's better than not listening.
Yeah.
No, but hey, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
So if the last time this in the space of evolution of the last time something that kind of game changing for our, I don't know big words for it, but basically we work to make our brain smarter.
Yeah.
Was reading and writing. You don't think that we kept evolving much post that in the past 5 to 6,000 years, and then now eventually there could be a chance where you've reached a point where maybe the newer ways of consumption of stories could then end up being more how do you say
No, I
End up
think
being-
I get the basic drift of what you're asking. I get the basic drift.
That our brains will evolve, that our methods of communication will evolve. That doesn't necessarily mean we're taking steps backwards.
Are we taking steps backward is your question?
No, it's not. I'm saying कि जैसे आप कह रहे हो ना कि there is a difference in how you read that and read this, and how time has evolved and technology has evolved. So consumption has evolved, lifestyle has evolved. In general, the amount of times people put themselves out there online to kind of consume these stories, understand these stories has changed. So do you think that in the past, again, I'm just curious.
Please.
Do you think in the past 5 to 6,000 years, our brains also kept evolving to reach a point where now this has become a lot more efficient than it was before?
I think, this is a wonderful question and I'm asked this often. So I'm going to just try and make it as simple as possible, the response. So if reading and writing evolved over 5,000 years, and if I shifted from print to digital in 18 to 20 years, okay? That's the rough time frame that we are talking about, okay? Now, studies suggest, because these are all fMRI studies,
What does fMRI stand?
functional magnetic resonance imaging.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
So,
I was not
so
about
fMRI studies suggest, so because we started reading 5,000 years ago, the shift to digital, which happened in 18 to 20 years, the neuroplastic brain is still adjusting to it. Okay, we don't know the result of this adjustment. All we know is that the pathways that were formed are not being formed anymore. Okay, so for example, if I have a forest between my house and my office, okay, I go and make a path through it one day. I take a danda and I beat down the bushes and I make a path. Okay, as more and more people follow, that path becomes clearer. Okay, this is what reading does to the early childhood brain.
Right.
And once this road is formed, it's like a highway. It's like a communication highway that is formed. More information can flow through. You went through, so many others could go through, right? So you have 86 billion neurons where pathways need to be formed. And they are formed only when you read.
So that's
in
not
early
happening?
childhood.
So that's not
That is
happening?
not happening if I am reading digitally at the age of 3, 4, 5. In fact, all the way up to age 13.
Right.
So now what am I building on?
Right. Right.
My pathways have not been created. The neural pathways that my brain knows how to create are suddenly not being created. So those information highways that will process any amount of information and help me build skills, they are not being created anymore.
Right.
This is the problem. So now what is the neuroplasticity going to do? It's going to adapt to the new reality. Lesser and lesser pathways are going to be formed, which means processing of information is going to get shallower and shallower.
Right.
My understanding of what is deep work, my threshold of what is deep work is going to be reducing. This is the problem we are facing. So, which is why we say the reading coach sensitizes people to the loss of skills due to lack of reading.
Right. And just because this show is called All About Her,
Yeah.
do you feel that that impact is felt differently by women who are readers or writers? Like I'm saying, this loss of skill, how does it specifically impact women through the ages?
So it impacts everyone, right? But because we are women here,
Yes.
I would like to make a special appeal here to women to read.
Right.
Because it helps you develop your identity. It helps you deal with people in the world.
Yeah.
Right? It gives you the language for it. It gives you the skills for it. There are so many things. We spoke about cognitive closure, being able to stay in ambiguity for longer, being able to manage situations where you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because you are going to have built that ability to stay calm. So reading reduces stress by 68%. Music reduces stress by 61%. Walking reduces stress by 42%.
Wow.
So these are the studies that we know. So reading also helps you sleep better.
It also helps with small talk.
Of course.
Oh my God.
It does. It helps in so many things.
It helps in so many things. That's a very interesting point. So reading helps you be more present in the now.
Did you know that you were making such a difference in the world by writing this book and helping so many people's brains
I had-
develop neural pathways? Was this part of your charitable
Some
objective?
bushes were
She did
definitely
more good.
bushes.
Yes.
She did more good than she knows.
Yeah. I want to come to your journey because it's been fascinating. I know you've been, as everybody knows, you've been doing content creation. You've been celebrated in that. You're now acting, even with Kunal. You guys are acting together. So there's so much that is going on. This transition, I hope it's not just a one-off, firstly.
Oh, no.
You're going to write more, maybe different screenplay, long format, novels.
Even with novels, like for me, honestly, I remember having a very clear conversation with my publishers where they sat me down and they were like, should we talk about like how life looks now? I said one second.
What does that mean?
कि क्या कितने books लिखोगे कैसे करना है and I was like one second I didn't get into this.
There's a contract, no? Don't you have to like give like...
No, nothing like that.
Okay, no.
Did you? Not that I know of. I should check that though. But
At least a first right of refusal on the next one. Something
Yeah.
like that.
I have no clue.
Okay.
But so basically what they were saying is कि अच्छा एक book करके तो नहीं रुकना है. How to
Especially if it's become a bestseller.
but this is before it released, like before it went on pre-order also. So for me, because I have lived my life seeking attention and validation online, I
How's that
thrive
for you?
in that.
It's doing
It's
really well.
great.
Yeah.
I thrive in it. Like I go to my audience and my community is my bouncing board for all new ideas. If there's anything new I'm trying, it's only because I can depend on them for honest feedback.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I love about the internet, where everyone's very, very honest.
Yes.
They will not mince their words. Especially the community touchwood
Some
that I've got.
comments are not at all connected though to the content.
That we don't think about. Yeah. That is their problem.
Right.
So for me, I kept telling them, I said, I need to see what this book does.
Yes.
For me to have the confidence to even pull myself back up, कि चलो एक और लिखना है.
Yeah.
I was prepped with an idea. I've had it when I started writing this, but I knew that as much as I love series, I also enjoy standalone books that are in a part of a universe, in a universe that you've known before.
Yes.
Jैसे अब यहाँ पे if there are 3 friends and their lives, then I would love to have books on each one of them without having it to be like a sequel of each other. So you could pick up anyone and if you enjoy the universe. So I needed to see if the universe works, if people like if the readers like the people who are in it. Because I genuinely don't think it's an extraordinary story. I think it's very, very ordinary. I think it's very, very
Maybe it's
simple.
honest. Maybe it's
But I'm saying
But I find that beautiful.
discipline.
Yeah, I find that beautiful. I've never found, even when making characters, like I've never found कि like this is the quirk. Like इसका तकिया कलाम है, ये हर बार ना जाके ये ऐसे करती है, या इसके कपड़े ऐसे होते हैं. Like I find a lot of joy in writing something that is so simple that everyone who reads it feels like, oh my God, this could be me.
Yeah, connects.
But that's just me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just waiting to see if the universe is liked. And then after seeing the kind of touchwood reactions that we got, yes, there will be more. 100%.
And I add to something she
No,
said.
not at all. You must not.
Yes.
Yes.
So, she spoke about getting feedback as a creator.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
now look at an adolescent consumer
Right.
who's watching a screen.
Right.
Okay, a screen that is going to either like them or dislike them or upvote them or downvote them without an explanation.
Right.
So, which means as an adolescent, my path to adulthood is devoid of any real social capital, given the amount of time I'm spending on the screen. And I'm not getting any real feedback about the work I'm putting in.
No.
People either like it or don't.
Right.
But there are no reasons given to you.
Right.
As an intelligent creator
Right.
who's also a reader, she's seeking feedback in a very different way. The consumer just gets blanket feedback. And all the paths to adulthood which involve difficult face-to-face conversations, I am going to skim all of that the more time I spend on screens.
Right.
So these are some of the pitfalls of not reading.
So you think
Again,
Prajakta's neural pathways are firing, big highways happening in her brain.
big highways
From
because
all
she's a
the
reader.
on the train.
Car.
Yes.
But tell me about the journey of writing. Was it tough?
Very, very
Were you one of those people who sat down and said, okay, I'm going to write from...
There's so much information about this, right? Like as someone who goes to the internet for all her answers, I was like, okay, I'm going to go and look what is the most efficient way of writing.
But you also talk to human beings, people.
Of course, yeah, every now and then. Like this is a very monumental phase in my life.
Hi.
No. But I'm saying that I was worried that it's going to become a very lonely process. Because although I did start making content by
You did.
myself,
But you're also sharing like your process.
but then eventually I got so addicted to working with my team, to having that feedback, to constantly having someone tell me, okay, what do you think about this idea? To have people around me. I didn't know if I could do that with a book. I was like, who's going to sit down and read 300 pages with me every day? Like, if I've written it down, how many people can I go to? Okay, can you read it right now and tell me what you think about it?
But you must have had like...
I
either one,
did.
two
So what I
people-
started doing was I started sending chapters.
Yes.
Anytime I wrote a chapter, I would send it to my team.
To a friend or an editor
Yeah,
or a...
yeah. Editors came HarperCollins came on board much
Really?
later. Yeah. I think 3 months into the writing. But the first 3 months, I was just so scattered with it. So I went online to see, I said, what's the most efficient thing? I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So I remember her saying that, you have to treat it as a job and you have to turn up every day. You have to do it. Now, but the thing is that I have 3 jobs. Where I was creating content and there was brand work happening. I was shooting at the same time. And then I was like, okay, let's write a book also. So I was like, I don't know which job do I turn up to at which point. So that was very, very overwhelming for me. I tried that whole thing कि नहीं बैठना ही है, 1 घंटा बैठना ही है. But ऐसे होता था कि कभी-कभी 1 घंटे में 1 word नहीं लिखा, कभी-कभी 30 minutes में 2 chapter लिख दिए. So the unpredictability of the whole process was really throwing me
But
off.
did you sometimes feel like, when the universe aligns, certain conditions come together to make you productive as a writer? Like for
I
me,
want to try that with the
like
second
I
book,
felt
but what
10
about
p.m.
you?
to 2 a.m.
Really?
was my time to write. When the house is asleep, I
Quiet.
needed the house to be asleep.
Yeah.
And I needed to have darkness for some reason.
Yeah.
I felt like in the day, like there's traffic and you just feel like you're cutting yourself off from the work.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe it's FOMO. You feel like I could be doing something else.
Yeah.
But I'm writing by myself right now. But I felt like at night, when everyone had gone to sleep, I could be there were no distractions,
Yeah.
of course. And also I felt that I could be more revealing of myself.
Yeah.
I felt this is the time when I can give of myself, especially when you're writing a book.
Yeah.
I miss the non-fiction. And then in the morning when you reread it, you're like, oh, I said too
What
much.
was it? Overshared.
Yeah.
No, but maybe I'll realize that on the second book. I was also traveling so much. I didn't have a place. I was never in the same place. I didn't sit at my desk every single day. So I have a series of pictures that I should upload, by the way, where I've taken a picture of every place that I sat to write the book. So I was in Paris, it was in New York,
nice.
it was in Kathmandu, it was in Rajasthan, Delhi, Mumbai, Kerala, like lots of these
And
places.
do you feel like these places might have impacted the way you wrote? Is there like a favorite part of your book which you wrote in a really
I
nice
remember
place?
one of the pages that I was very, very nervous. So as much as I love reading romance, I'm a very shy writer when it comes to writing about sex. I was very, very shy. So I built it up and I enjoyed the whole build up of it, the whole slow burn. And then when I had to actually write the sex, it was a paragraph and I sent it to my editor. And my editor called me back. He's like, what?
It's very quick.
Yeah, that's not very nice. Your readers are not going to be happy about it. So I remember we were shooting for another show in not Nahargarh, there in Bikaner. So उस दिन मेरी छुट्टी थी, and I remember sitting outside. I wasn't shooting that day, so I remember they had a beautiful courtyard. I remember sitting outside and setting it all up, getting my chai.
Oh, so you wrote about sex in
That's
public.
where I sat, in front of everyone. I said, you know what, if I make it too personal, if I make it too guarded,
Right.
I'm going to stay like that. I said, I don't want to be worried if someone else reads whatever I'm writing when I'm typing it. So I'm just going to sit in front of everyone and I'm going to write it. And that's how I wrote it. So it was quite unnerving.
That's funny. You chose to write a romance. I know that you've enjoyed romance. Is there a specific reason that you wanted to write a romantic novel?
I miss romance.
You just got married.
No, like in content.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm just saying.
That's a different conversation. So, no. I miss romance in content in the sense that I grew up watching a lot of romance in movies, on TV, and I fell in love with it. I mean, I get judged for this so often, but one of my favorite movies, and I watch it very often, is Vivah.
Yeah.
I actually grew up not wanting to ever marry till I watched that film.
Expression on my face right now.
Yes. No, I saw the giggle though.
But not use that.
But so I'm a hopeless romantic when it comes to consumption of content.
Yeah.
So even when I went to the books, I realized that I actually use escapism as my main motivation to read anything.
Right.
And romance kind of catered to that bit the most, which is why I'm hooked to it a lot. Yeah. Which is why I started. So all the 3 shows that I started working on in the lockdown are all romance, where I was like, okay, I want to write romance and I want to tell romance and I want to film romance and I want to release romance. That's how it started.
Yes.
So a little obsessive.
So in the introduction to the show, I was talking about how there was a time that women didn't write under their own names, even in the West. Middlemarch George Eliot was actually a woman. The Bronte sisters wrote under male pseudonyms. And I guess they felt maybe they wouldn't be taken seriously as women writers. Then, of course, people have changed that trend now. And I would like to think that now women are writing more freely in their own names, not using ambiguous names, and are doing that successfully. One thing I wanted to ask was that I feel like the genre of romance has been something women have been comfortable writing, perhaps. What I loved about your book was that it was romance being written by a woman, but it was a refreshing take because, and I don't know whether that was conscious or not, but it was, like your protagonists are not idealized, like your Mills and Boons sort of heroes and heroines. They are messy and flustered and, they turn to therapy, for example, and lots of things that perhaps this generation does. So there is, firstly, was that intentional or it's just...
For Avni, yes. The female protagonist. The male protagonist was meant to...
have that journey.
Yeah, have absolutely no flaws.
Right.
He was meant to be that perfect.
Which in itself is
A problem.
a problem.
Correct.
Right. Why is it that women find it difficult to step outside, perhaps? How much are women writing other genres apart from romance? I know that they are, but how much of that is happening? And what is the struggle really?
So, the first part of your question, are women comfortable writing under their own names? So even the collective wisdom of the first Harry Potter book, right? J.K. Rowling did not use Joanne K. Rowling.
Yes.
So the collective wisdom of the team at that point was, let it be J.K. Rowling. People might think it's a man, people might think it's a woman. It's okay. Now, do we attribute it to her? We don't know. We just know that it's the collective wisdom of the team that released the first Harry Potter book to not use Joanne K. Rowling. Right. I think India has been way ahead of the rest of the world on this. You wrote about, you spoke about Ismat Chugtai to me some time back. But in the 14th century, there was Soirabai who wrote poems under her own name. There was Savitribai Phule who wrote poems under her own name.
Yes, whom you've written about.
Yes. And there was Amrita Pritam who, took on very, very difficult subjects. So India has been way ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to brave literature and owning up brave literature as women, right? What are the subjects women are not writing about? I think for that, we just need to understand that women got positions of power, even voting rights in the 20th century, right? So how many women's subjects could you find on the cover of a novel?
Right.
Right. So how many women's autobiographies could technically be there till the 20th century? Not too many.
Right.
Right. So because women were not, they had a longer trajectory with respect to education, with respect to political rights, with respect to positions of power, you will find that women subjects emerged much later. And therefore, women voices chronicling those subjects also emerged much later. Right. Yes, women are, they've always been good at writing fiction. But how many women are writing politics? How many women are writing biographies? How many women are subjects of biographies? How many men are writing biographies of women?
That's
right.
These are the biography of Savitribai Phule.
Yes,
who's India's first female teacher.
Yes,
but and of course you're a woman writing a book on a
woman.
On a woman. But how many men are writing stories about women? How many women are writing stories about women? Is there a disparity? Is there?
There is. And, we just have to take a step back to understand this very quickly. So if you look at how much male and female authors' books are priced at, okay, there is a study of over 100,000 books, which suggests that books by women authors are priced 45% lower. As a standard.
Gender pay exists in the world.
It does exist, but I am not going to attribute it to the publishing industry. I'm going to attribute it more to the women who've been writing and have not stepped forward and claimed this. Because they've been taught to keep a lower voice.
Right.
There has been some kind of culturing. A lot of them have come out of it. There is no single person to blame here. Because the minute you make it only about gender, then what about the market?
Right.
Right? Because gender and market, it's an interplay. Whenever a woman has decided that she's absolutely worth it and she's gone and claimed what she believes she is owed, she has got paid on par with the men. Right? So let's not make this about gender and let's not make this a standard comment on the publishing industry at all. The other thing is the readership though, there is a slight skew. If you see the top 10 male best-selling authors, 70% of their readership is women. If you take the top 10 best-selling female authors, only 10% of their readership is men. This is a problem.
So women are reading men's literature, but men are not reading women's literature.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask, because you touched a little bit about the publishing industry.
Yes.
My friend Niranjana had a question, and she felt that there does exist some kind of disparity when it comes to marketing, putting a book out there, if it's written by a woman and if it's written by a man. She feels that kind of disparity does exist. Is that true?
Niranjana, right?
Yes. So you can call her Ninna. I call her Ninna.
Hi, Ninna. I think we must absolutely not let such conceptions grow because you have to stake a claim on what you believe you deserve. And the women who are doing that, so for example, in your industry, Okay, so, let's look at it in two ways. Okay, one is you look at a man addressing fiction and a woman addressing fiction. Okay, we discuss, say, Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, okay, and Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
Yes.
Okay, so Leo Tolstoy deals with Anna Karenina. Both are on social subjects.
Right.
Okay,
Both are
social
love,
norms.
Both are on marriage.
Yes, both are on social norms. Leo Tolstoy automatically takes Anna Karenina and he creates this epic of vast proportions that transcends from the character to social norms. Okay? Jane Austen is happy to just talk about that character's arc
Right.
and her beliefs
Right.
and how she evolves.
Right.
So, typically, you might find that men in literature down the ages, have they always wanted to paint on a broader canvas?
Yes.
Okay, that's a question.
Yes, I didn't answer it. I was just saying yes, as in yes. It's a good question.
Perhaps.
Not as in yes.
And have women somehow decided that they want to talk about the nuances
Yeah.
of that individual character arc?
Yes.
Has that happened? We don't know. This is one question. The other way to look at it is in your industry. When a woman makes a nice, quiet film, which is a very meaningful film that haven't done very well at the box office, what does that do to the next woman director?
It's
Okay,
defeating.
it's difficult. So every time a woman doesn't succeed as an author,
Yeah.
as an actor, as a director,
Yeah.
it creates problem for the next woman who comes after her. Whereas someone like, I will take a name here, Zoya Akhtar.
Yes.
Okay, she comes in and makes this big, bold film where she talks about women's issues through, say, a Priyanka Chopra's character and an Anushka Sharma's character in Dil Dhadakne Do. And I think that does a lot for women.
Right.
So every time a woman attempts to be an artist, she needs to know that she's speaking for every woman that's coming after her.
Right.
And so we should not restrict ourselves to these constricting views. Am I going to get paid more? Am I going to get the same marketing budgets? We have to step forward and claim it and ensure that we create a marketplace for the next woman who's coming after us.
When it comes to publishing, for example, because I know that this journey, you write a book, that in itself is an achievement.
Yeah.
But as you said, getting that book out there and getting people to read it is a whole other game.
Yeah.
One thing that I was perplexed by when I wrote a book was this whole idea of marketing the book.
Yeah.
And whose responsibility that really is.
Huh.
Because of course, as a writer, you may have personal funds. And I know people who have come and people must have come to you to promote things as well. Like, wow, you have so much money to promote a book. And they spend a lot of money. Are they even earning something that is, that justifies that?
Right.
Or as you said, is that just about getting the book out there so that people read it and it's for a broader purpose? But the question is, firstly, the simple question is, you said that there was no publisher in your periphery when you wrote the book.
When I started, right?
When you started. Like when in fact, my publisher came to me, Penguin came to me and said, would you like to write a book?
Ah, okay.
And that's how that journey happened. Otherwise, I don't think I would have ever had the motivation to actually put pen to paper.
Yeah.
So when they said, can you write it in the next 8 to 10 months? That deadline really helped me.
You wrote it in 8 to 10 months?
I wrote, but I was also pregnant for, as I said,
10 months.
8 to 10 months on average.
That sounds about right.
Not really an elephant, but yeah. So that, it just, life worked in a way that I could do that. And I work well on deadlines. If you tell me ki ye kal tak kar do, then I will do it. Otherwise, I will faff around a lot. So that helped. But in the absence of a publisher, when you started writing, what was the journey like getting a publisher on board?
I honestly didn't think that. I didn't know what the way to go about this was. In my head, I didn't know when you reach out to a publisher. Also, I was like, why would a publisher care about this right now?
Right.
Like I've written 10 chapters in the first 3 months. So I had absolutely no clue as to what I should. I didn't even know kitna material leke jana hota hai. I said, do you like take the whole book, or do you like give a synopsis? Like, do you pitch it like you would otherwise?
Did you ask anyone?
So I didn't know whom to ask also. So the one way I knew to put a deadline on finishing the book was that I put it up on my YouTube channel. Because I know that once I've said it to my audience, they will hold me accountable for it. But they will comment like, okay, when is it coming out? What? So when I did put that out is when HarperCollins got in touch, where they were like, do you have a publisher? And I was like, no, I don't have a publisher. They're like, do you want one? I said, sure.
Yeah, at some point I think I'll need one.
Yeah, I think I might just, but I didn't know I was supposed to reach out to them so early. That's when Pauline, who's my editor, kind of told me, she's like, I can help you, because for the first few months, I never reached out to her for anything, which was like,
This
do you
is
need help?
about 10 chapters into it.
This was, yeah, about 10 to 12 chapters into it. And this was in the June of 2023.
Right.
So I started writing in the March of 23. I finished it I finished the first draft in the April of 24. And then like the edits and everything were done by November 24. And the book came out in Jan.
So your journey was, I mean, pretty simple in terms of you put it out there, and because you have access to so much.
And I recognize that privilege completely, because I know a lot of times we have authors who've been sending manuscripts for a very long time and they're looking for publishers. So many of them I know who have published it themselves.
Yes.
So I understand 100% that I think it worked out very easily for me when it came to this process of the whole bit.
But apart from reminding you to be grateful for that, that was not the point of this question. It was just saying that both our journeys have been really fluid from that perspective, in terms of we had access to publishing houses, and we both recognize that that doesn't always exist. I wanted to ask you, Reeta, that normally, what is the process for somebody who's written a book? At what stage do they reach out to a publisher? And is it more or less an easy process, or is it about who you know? How inequitable is that journey?
Yeah, so it is a difficult process. You reach out to, if you know an editor of a publishing house, great. You write to them, you reach out to them and say, I have this idea. You send them a synopsis and they will ask you for 3 chapters or whatever. The other way to go is with a good literary agent, and there are a few good ones in India. You can reach out to them and seek their help. They will refine your manuscript for you. They will put you in touch with a publisher. See, internationally, you have to go through a literary agent to a publisher. It's only in India that you can circumvent the process if you know the right person. So it is an arduous process. So my first book got rejected by 17 publishers.
Really?
Yes. So I'm very happy to share that, so that the process sounds more normal to everyone.
And then the 18th publisher said yes.
The 18th guy said yes.
Wow.
So yes. So it happens to a lot of people. But then now I'm on my 6th book, so I feel very good about it.
So talk to me about the money. I thought I would make lots of money. Did you have this misconception? It may not be a misconception. Maybe have you made lots of money from the book?
I don't know, actually.
What do you mean? How?
Checked.
You don't know how much money you've made from the
I
book?
have not checked.
So royalty statements come with periods, right?
Right.
Royalty statements come after 6
Oh,
months.
so
So
perhaps
maybe
this
she's
is
not
new.
received her first royalty statement.
Do you have like a ballpark? And I'm not asking you to say, but obviously you were not in it for the money, I'm assuming, of writing this book.
I didn't know how much money you could make till I saw the contract for the first time. I was like,
that's it, right?
yeah, because authors don't...
No, I want to ask you the money. It's a lot of work.
But can I tell you something? My motivation, honestly, and I should know these numbers. I should know what has been, what I have signed and what's going to come and how it's going to multiply and stuff like that, how the royalties work. I should know this as someone who's working. But for me, just the thought of getting this much commitment from my audience, who's so easy to having access to me without much effort, was very daunting.
Yeah.
Because reels, shorts, YouTube videos, आप पजामे में घर पे बैठे हुए हो देख रहे हो. There is absolutely no expectation from the audience beyond just opening their phone, which they're already on. Writing a book and then doing a book tour. कि नहीं तुम खरीदो भी, फिर तुम पढ़ो भी, फिर तुम मुझसे मिलने भी आओ. ठीक है कि नहाओ, कपड़े बदलो, बस ट्रेन जो भी है करके आओ, तुम मिलो, फिर तुम
आने की जरूरत नहीं है, but yeah,
I strongly recommend it.
If you're going to see Prajakta, then please bathe before.
Or anyone in general in life. कि वहाँ के फिर you have to stand in a queue. Like I just thought it was asking too much of an audience who already has a lot of access to me without putting in that much effort. So the monies weren't even, like I wasn't even thinking about that. For me, when I remember doing a meeting where we were discussing projections, where in my head, I thought if I sell 10,000 books in the lifetime of this book, it's huge.
Yeah.
10,000 is a huge number to sell books. And at that, it's priced at $399, $499. So that's a lot of money to ask someone to pay. The publishers, my HarperCollins me like, rather not 10,000, 30,000 का projection लेके चलते हैं कि in the lifetime 30,000 तो हो जाएगा. So I think right before I got married, in a couple of months ago, I got on a call where we realized that we've reached close to 200,000 copies sold.
Wow.
Which is just, it's beyond anything I had and I'm not...
That's incredible, yeah.
It's mad. I had not expected that at all. Thank you. But it was one of those things where I didn't, because I wasn't prepared for it. And in my head, I was also not trying to be like, कि नहीं, concrete. Like I wasn't that. I was trying to be very realistic with it because I know how much commitment and effort it is to buy a book and then read it.
Right.
So I was just honestly, I'm just wrapping my mind around these numbers.
But 200,000 is phenomenal.
It's mad.
It is.
It's huge. I had not expected that. I remember getting on a call with Amazon when the pre-order started, where they were also very excited with it. Where I was like, which is why I needed this book to come out.
Yes.
So that I would have the motivation to write again.
But what does it take to become a bestseller? Like, what gives you that tag?
So on Amazon, you have to outsell everyone else in your category for 48 hours.
Nice.
That's when you get that #1 bestseller tag.
Wow.
And 10,000 copies is considered a bestseller in today's times. And I think it speaks to her authenticity also as a creator that she managed to get to those number of copies. So
Absolutely.
You've given a lot of courage to a lot of women to pick up the pen and write. So thank you for that.
And read.
And read, yes, absolutely.
You know,
Very
the
well
people
done.
who came to my book tour, Touchwood, I was very grateful with the amount of turnouts that we had. We did 14 cities and I had never done a tour before. So I was very, very excited. But after the 4th, 5th city, I was like, how many people will come? Like, why? Sometimes we would do 2 or 3. In Delhi, we did 3 bookstores in one day. And I was like, why will... More than 40 to 50%, I was signing about 700 to 800 books at every signing. More than 40 to 50% of those people, young people, telling me that, oh, this is the first book I have picked up, or this is the first time I'm at a bookstore.
That is amazing. Imagine you have...
But also so heartbreaking. I was like, what do you mean?
Fine.
What do you mean you've lived 22 years without going to a bookstore?
Positive.
Okay,
it's
fair.
positive.
Okay,
that
got it.
you're converting people into readers.
So that for me... Also, all these stories, and I'm so glad that I did the tour because I got to move beyond just the digital feedback and actually speak to people about it in person. So it was so important for me to gather this feedback, to kind of go back and be like, okay, now I can maybe try to.
Do you remember like one a person that you met or wrote you like one comment, one positive feedback about the book?
This one for sure. Oh, a comment that I really, because as a reader, I get into reading slumps so often.
Yes.
And then I'll always remember the book that got me out of that reading slump, where I'll be reading something that I've liked for so long. And then suddenly there'll be one, like for me, the last book that got me out of a slump was The Last Queen by Chitra Banerjee. Yeah. I was reading romances and I was enjoying all of them till I suddenly stopped enjoying them. And then I read The Last Queen. And then I was back on the bandwagon. So that'll always be a very special book for me. A Princess Remembers by Maharani Gayatri Devi was one of those. Always very special. Norwegian Wood by Murakami was one of those. So someone commented saying, thank you so much. This book got me out of my reading slump.
Yeah,
so that was very special for me.
That is lovely. Just very quickly, because we're coming towards the end of this, I wanted to just ask you a little bit about AI, because we mentioned AI.
Yes.
And that I know is transforming the world, and ChatGPT has become a sort of friend in a very disturbing kind of way.
ChatGPT is in my acknowledgement.
I know. I didn't know how sincere you were about it, because you said, I want to thank ChatGPT, because I've never written acknowledgements before.
It was true.
Really?
Because I submitted my whole manuscript and my editor kept telling me, she's like, Raita, you need to send me the acknowledgements. And I was like, I don't know how to write acknowledgements.
But of course you tweaked it because ChatGPT would not have written, please thank me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that I added on.
But so many people are using it, misusing it. I don't understand enough about it right now. It must be impacting the world of writing. And there must obviously be benefits to that.
Yeah.
So first I wanted to ask you, do you think it's going to encourage creativity? Do you think it's going to take away from originality? Are you positive about the future?
I am extremely positive.
Are you optimistic about the future?
I am extremely optimistic about the future, and I'll tell you why. See, there is a book by Simon Sinek, right? Start with why. Once you know why you're writing the book, okay, once you have your purpose clear, and once you know the audience, what you want to say through that book, uske baad, the tools that you choose to get there, I think there are more tools available today.
Yes.
And why deny yourself that? So, for example, I read this book. It's called Wild Wisdom. Okay, it's a crazy book about a lady, Christine Lamour, I think. She went on the first all-female bike tour on the Arctic Circle.
Oh, wow.
Okay, she's a travel freak. And she travels immersively, and she travels to raise funds to contribute to charity. So each of these trips is funded by someone. Hey, I'm going to make this happen.
Right.
So someone funds it, and that money then goes to charity. She decides to make a book out of this. So that's terribly original
Yeah.
and so much purpose.
Yeah.
So just find your purpose. Find originality in your purpose. Uske baad, whatever tools you use to get there. It's so brave of her to acknowledge ChatGPT. Honestly.
It's true, actually.
It's,
though, 'cause
it's
a lot of
very,
people
very
will,
brave.
will not mention it, thinking, what if you've used it extensively?
book.
I mean,
Yeah.
you just don't want to even touch it and say,
And-
I've done this without any
She
kind of
got
help.
people to bookstores. What are we even going to judge her for at all?
Yeah.
She made people pick up books. So we'll just celebrate that.
Yeah,
Isn't
absolutely.
it? Yeah. So ChatGPT, AI, choose your path, but please find your why first.
Yeah.
She found her why.
Yeah.
And then she went into all of that.
Yeah.
She wanted to tell a sweet story.
Who?
You wanted to tell a sweet story, sweet love story. That was her why.
But there's this very beautiful and efficient quote. I want ChatGPT to do my dishes and laundry so I can make art. And I think that's such a great lens to look at it from. While, yes, AI is scary and none of us completely know what we're getting into, and we have to get into it whether we like it, are prepared for it or not. But I honestly think that you cannot take responsibility away from the users also. Like, it cannot be a one-sided blame where it's like, no, this is wrong. It's also how it's being used and the responsibility that users also have to kind of completely keep in mind when they're using it. For example, while doing this also, there were so many times when I would meet people who would just assume that I have either a ghostwriter or I have ChatGPT. So many people. I'm sure a lot of people asked you also, so you're writing a book, are you writing it or you
who's writing it?
Who's writing it for you?
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? So it's also with the choices that you make with these, like you said, with these tools because I honestly think I've spent a decade on the internet. I've grown up. Everything I have came to me from this. It came from making mistakes, learning newer tools, adapting to it. So I've just come to realize that it's a wave. You surf, you swim. Like, you stand on the shore and you've missed it.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay with the times, if you want to be relevant, if you want to keep catering to an audience that is all spending their time, money and attention on a platform, you're going to eventually have to find your piece with it.
Yeah, that's lovely. I love the way you said that. Just as a closing, I wanted to ask you, in your capacity as an expert today, if there's one myth. I think you already have broken it, and I'll say why, because I was going to ask if there is one myth about publishing or writing that you would like to bust for young writers out there. And perhaps because you touched on the fact that they should not feel the pressure. I mean, you should go out and ask and demand for what you feel you deserve.
Yes.
Might be one of them, but is there anything else?
I think don't take the easy way out by self-publishing.
Okay.
That's something I would definitely advocate very strongly. So the publisher as a gatekeeper, the editor as a guide, the entire distribution process, the process of refining your manuscript, all of that is a great teacher.
Right.
So don't short shrift it by going for self-publishing and believe that you'll do it all on your own.
18 is that magic number. 17 knows is okay. But 18 is the one.
18 is
so
the
hang in
one.
there.
Hang in there.
Hang in there. Okay, last question. First, thank you guys for...
May I say something though?
Yes.
I know it's not a myth or something, but this really helped me with reading. Is when you start reading, I also think that I started enjoying reading more when I stopped putting too much pressure on books. Like, pressure to change my life, pressure to make me happy, pressure to change my views. Like, it's too much. Sometimes you expect too much from a book. Like, you pick up a book and I'm like, okay, this is going to
Make
change
me
my
happy.
life. Yeah.
Relax
Can I
me
say-
by
can I-
46%, or whatever that was.
48%. So I have to add
48%.
something to this. The guilt of not finishing the books you started,
Yeah.
Oh.
they make many a reader a non-reader.
Yeah, I
So
feel like...
don't feel guilty.
Yeah, there's too much. I don't see why there has to be so much thought into it. There's so many books where I've gone through the second page and I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Next. I just feel sometimes we put too much pressure on them.
Yeah.
See, the very act of reading and the skills you get from it, okay? Whether you read Virat Kohli's biography or Abdul Kalam's biography, as long as they are well written,
Yes.
the skills you get from reading are the same.
Right.
So you need to start your reading journey with something that you will enjoy. And you should not feel the pressure of completing every book you started.
Also, it's okay to not like books the whole world has liked. And it's okay to love books that the world calls trash.
Yeah.
I have just come to realize that art speaks so differently to different people. There is never a black and white. There's never a rule. And it liberated me as a reader so much when I stopped putting all my life's burdens on a book.
Yeah.
Yes,
Find the book that will make you a reader.
Okay, last question, guys.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
just a fun question. One woman writer, storyteller, past or present, who has shaped you, inspired you, not made you who you are at all, but just has been important to you.
Happily To Kill a Mockingbird.
Nice.
Brave choices.
Yeah.
Express yourself fearlessly. Yeah.
Nice.
Happily.
I don't have one. May I give like 3, 4?
You can give 2.
May I give 3? Okay, good. So, she's written one book, but Anne Frank. That was one of the first novels.
Nice.
I don't know if you call it a novel. That was one of the first books that I read more than twice.
It's a memoir.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Anne
a
Frank.
memoir. Yeah,
yeah, diary.
100%. Huge role to play in me reading books. Chitra everything Chitra Banerjee touches, breathes, looks at is gold. And when it comes to romance and smut literature, I'm obsessed with Anna Wang.
Okay, lovely.
Interesting.
If I had to read one book by Anna Wang, which one should I read?
Everything is a series, so you go down that hellhole, and
I'll
strongly recommend you do.
Okay.
Pick up the Twisted series.
Okay. Okay, lovely. Thank you, guys.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Bye. What an incredible conversation this has been. For me, I've learned so much about, of course, the art of storytelling, but especially I think about women finding our voices and demanding a space for ourselves in the world. Prajakta, I want to thank you for sharing your journey so candidly with us. And I have to thank Reeta for bringing truly a unique perspective as a writer and a reading coach, and really for reminding us how critical it is to nurture the writer and reader, especially in every woman. I want to thank you for tuning in to All About Her. And if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will be back next week with another conversation that is all heart, all truth, and all about her.